About 17,000 DePaul students are eligible for the U-Pass every quarter, allowing them to travel freely aboard CTA buses and trains. Recently, I was on a CTA train when a man began groping a female passenger. Good Day DePaul reporter Manini Patel was there as well.
Well, I was on my way home from my night class, and I got on the train, and I was just sitting there, and then all of a sudden, I saw this man. I think he was drunk, and I saw him touching a girl inappropriately, and I saw you, like, try to help the girl, like, you hit the guy's hand, like, trying to make him stop. So then,
As the man continued to grope several other passengers, I pushed the emergency button on the train, a two-way intercom that is supposed to alert the train conductor that there is a problem. In this case, the conductor did not respond to the call, and the man paced between several cars, grabbing passengers as the train continued traveling. A few days later, I came across another situation, this time on a train station platform. In response to a man screaming that he was going to kill someone, I pushed an emergency button that is supposed to sound an alarm notifying attendants that a customer needs assistance. But for the second time that week, an emergency button triggered no response. Behind me, the man was still screaming, so I made my way up to the attendant booth to alert CTA personnel. The attendant informed me that the emergency button was not working.
Do you guys respond to emergency things? The button downstairs, there's a guy screaming about killing people. I pressed the emergency call button, but no one's responding. He's down there screaming. Huh? It doesn't work up here?
No.
Why doesn't it work?
I don't know. I think they broke the whole time.
Good Day DePaul has learned of other incidents in the past when emergency buttons have not worked. But we have not been able to determine just how frequently these problems have occurred. Professor Greg Scott, the director of the Social Science Research Center at DePaul and a trained criminologist, says that crime on the CTA is actually fairly low when compared to the overall city. But these specific problems may not be isolated incidents.
The odds of any individual using that button twice in the same week and having that button fail, pretty unlikely that it's just an aberration, that it's just randomness. It could be randomness, it could just be, well, those were the two incidents this year where the button's going to fail, but it's not likely.
The CTA declined to provide an on-air spokesperson to discuss the problems with emergency systems that Good Day DePaul has encountered. However, they did offer information on how the emergency response system is tested. The intercom units on trains are checked in several ways through both daily and weekly inspections, and if a defective intercom is found, the train is taken out of service. But even 9 days after I had pushed the intercom button on a train, the CTA said it had no report of a defective emergency intercom on any of its trains. And it took 2 weeks from the time the incident occurred for CTA officials to report they had identified 2 defective intercoms on trains, though we don't know if either one is the one I reported. Recently, the CTA told us there were 8 emergency call buttons at train stations that were waiting for repair. When I asked how quickly the buttons would be repaired, the CTA stated, "There are far too many variables in order to answer this question. There is no way to quantify how long any repair could take." DePaul professor Joe Schwederman, a transportation expert, says sometimes problems like these are a matter of money.
Unfortunately, the system is so undercapitalized right now. We have deferred maintenance that things like safety switches are prone to go bad. They may take days to get fixed. Undoubtedly, CTA is chasing its tail a little bit, trying to get these problems solved.
More than 2 weeks after I had discovered the broken button on the platform, an out-of-order sign still remained.
Chicago is notoriously bureaucratic, and its bureaucracy is notoriously inefficient and sluggish. It wouldn't surprise me to see a very high failure rate on the emergency response button.
The CTA has taken steps to increase security. In addition to the emergency two-way intercoms on trains and alarms to alert attendants on stations and platforms, last year they installed nearly 1,800 cameras at CTA rail stations, a project that was finished 6 weeks ahead of schedule. CTA President Forrest Claypool says these new cameras have been instrumental in helping to solve a number of crimes since we began installing them in June. This is just what we envisioned when we set out to fast-track the installation of these additional cameras at our rail stations. But even these cameras haven't always worked. I've observed 3 surveillance monitors with blank screens at stations close to DePaul's campus. A CTA employee confirmed that the monitor at his post was broken. Another concern is that these cameras don't pick up audio, so no one would have been able to hear the man I captured on my camera phone screaming threats. These are just a few of the issues that are causing concern.
So I think that CTA, first of all, needs to be responsible for the emergency response system. If you're going to have an emergency response box with a button, it sure better work, and there sure better be a timely response.
Despite the information the CTA has provided, it's still not completely clear how widespread this problem is and how often emergency alert equipment is failing. Obviously, in a system as large as the CTA, there will be breakdowns, but the questions still remain. How often are these breakdowns occurring? How rapidly are they being repaired? And how much are they compromising the safety of all CTA riders? For Good Day DePaul, I'm Eva Green.